Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about physical development. Physical development is important for teachers to know about because when kids are developing at certain stages, that may impact how they're learning and what they're learning. Or they may be just crazy because of hormones, and that may impact your classroom. So it's important for you to know about physical development. It's also important for you to know as a parent about physical development because you can kind of get an idea of where your child should be. And if they're so far behind where every other kid is in their physical development, like really far behind, then there may be underlying issues that you need to investigate as a parent. So human growth is based on a combination of genetics and environment. So it's that nature versus nurture that we've always heard about. So you are who you are because of your genetics, but there's also environmental factors that will impact how you grow. So things like maternal nutrition. So when your mom was pregnant with you, what was her nutrition like? Did she take care of herself? Outside diseases that you could get as a child that might impact then how you grow later on. Stress. Was your mom stressed when she was pregnant? That can impact your growth. Or were you stressed now, even as a child? Children can have stress. That impacts your growth. And then cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs also impact your physical development. And negatively, again, if your mom used them when she was pregnant with them, or if you're using them as you're developing, that can greatly change your physical development. So we are going to be talking about the different stages of physical development. My thing will switch. There we go. So there are quite a few different stages. So to do this, you're going to take notes using Cornell notes. So as you can see, you're going to make a T-chart here where, and then on one side of the T-chart, you're going to write developmental stage. On the other side, you're going to write information here. And then you're going to list the developmental stage underneath the stage. That'll be clear for you what that is on the notes. And then you're going to, whatever important information you think from the notes goes in under the information part. I'm going to leave that up to you, what you write on there. If you, at any time you need to pause or stop and go back to take the notes, you can do that with the video. All right, so the first stage of human development is when you are conceived. So the egg and the sperm come together. When that happens, you have 46 chromosomes. This is your genetic blueprint. This makes up who you are, essentially, right from the start. You get 23 chromosomes from each parent. Your gender, hair, eye color, height, skin tone is all determined from those 46 chromosomes in that first 2 weeks from conception to 2 weeks. So here you have a little example of that, a fertilized egg, and within that fertilized egg you have 46 chromosomes. So that's the zygote. The embryo is from 2 weeks to 8 weeks, and foundations of the brain and spinal cord and nervous system are established. So this is when your brain starts to develop, your spinal cord, those important big things that run your body, those are start to develop in 2 weeks to 8 weeks. The heart begins to beat, your legs, arms, etc. begin to form. So you can hear, once you know you're pregnant, very early on, you can hear your child's heartbeat using the equipment that they have in the office. And so, because all of that is taking place within the first 2 to 8 weeks. And this is what that would look like, that stage looks like. Okay? Fetus, this is from 8 weeks to birth. So about 38 weeks is typically birth, 38 to 40 weeks. So now you have everything from 8 weeks to birth. You have everything that will be, that you'll have as an adult. Okay? Everything is fully developed. This fetus is just like a little person. It sleeps, it awakens, it turns its head, opens and closes its mouth, it hears, all of those things. So these are when you get those 3D ultrasounds and you can really see what's going on inside there. There's an example there for you. So this is the rest of the time is the fetus stage. So pregnancy has 3 stages, and the first stage, each of those 3 stages are called trimesters. Each trimester is 12 weeks. So the first trimester is the most critical. This is when the baby is just developing, okay? It's the most susceptible. This is when women often have miscarriages. So a lot of times women will not tell that they're pregnant. Anybody that they're pregnant in their first trimester, so in that first 12 weeks, they won't tell people because they are more susceptible to miscarriages. Okay? And your central nervous system is developing. So here's an example of what that looks like over here. That's a picture of your first trimester. The next trimester is your second trimester, and the fetus is capable of physical development. Body growth begins. This is when they start getting their fingers and toes and their reflexes, such as sucking and swallowing. You'll see a baby suck their thumb, those kinds of things. That is in the second trimester, and again, you have a picture of what that looks like. And again, you're taking all these notes. So again, if you need to pause, I know I'm going super fast, but that's the beauty of video, is you can pause it and go back and take your notes. Third trimester, this is when the brain's fully developed. The fetus can see and hear. Lungs will be the last to develop. That's why sometimes with preemies, they have to stay in the incubators for so long. A lot of times in the third trimester, somewhere in the third trimester, a baby can survive, but they have to let the time for their lungs to develop still, because they're the last things to develop, and they usually develop during the third trimester. Okay? So, next we go into after you're born. So you get to see some fun pictures of Parker. It's my favorite presentation because I get to show him off as a baby. So the first stage of physical development is the neonatal development. This is birth to 2 years old. Here's Parker. This is him at the hospital. We hadn't even gone home yet. And then I believe this picture, he is a couple months old, this one, and this one as well, just a few months old. Okay? So they will be able to sit by 6 months old, creep, which is where they kind of like rock. They're not really crawling yet, but they're rocking back and forth. That's by 8 months old. They typically crawl by 10 months old, stand by 12 months old, and are walking by 13 months. Usually by 2 years old, kids are all over the place, okay? So again, you want to know as a parent, if they're not hitting these milestones, every kid's going to be a little different. Sometimes they're going to be a little later. That's no big deal, okay? We got to be careful not to like totally compare. But if your child is 2 years old and isn't crawling, then there's a concern. You need to be talking to the doctor about that. Okay, the next stage is preschool development. This is 2 to 6 years old. There's a lot of physical growth taking place here. They learn gross motor skills, like big movements like walking or throwing, and then small motor skills. These are drawing. For Parker, it was playing video games. And during this time, they need lots of activity, lots of play. This is when they learn. This is when they grow. And they have to learn those gross and fine motor skills. That's part of their physical development. So you've got to give them opportunities to do that. I know Parker, my mom used to have Parker cut all the time because that really works on kids' fine motor skills. And that's something that's developing at this time. So here we have, let's see, Parker and his floaty. He's probably just about 2 years old there. The other two pictures, he's probably about 5 in those pictures. He's so cute. He's also going to kill me for showing you guys these. Middle childhood is our next stage. This is 7 to 12 years old. A lot of times they're not shooting up as much as they used to. So the growth slows down, but they do steadily grow a little bit and a little bit. It's not these like huge sums. Sometimes you'll get the huge growth spurts, but it's a little more steady during this time. A lot of times girls are taller. They grow more during this period than boys. Boys typically hit that big growth spurt later on. They refine their small motor skills, and they have a lot of mental development is taking place during this time. So their brains are really developing between 7 and 12 years of age. So that's really crucial school years for kids to be learning because their brains are really developing. And I think on these ones we have Parker at like 9, Parker in junior high, and Parker at 12. And you can tell that during this stage also the kids go based on Parker's pictures. You can tell that when he's 9, he still has those kind of babyish features, and he's starting to grow a little bit more grown up looking. He all of a sudden, I remember, I think from saying he turned from a baby to a boy during this stage, 7 to 12 years of age. The last stage is your adolescent development. This is 12 to 18 years. these are your hormones. So these are your teenagers and they are dealing with lots of hormones. That's normal. But as a teacher, you got to remember that and kind of try to keep those in check. Okay. At this time, boys usually shoot up. A lot of times sophomore year, from sophomore, I know a lot of kids, sophomore years to junior years, all of a sudden the boy has grown so many inches and I don't even recognize them. Your extremities, like your legs and your arms, grow first, which then causes clumsiness. This is the case with my child. And then, of course, the biggest changes are your sexual changes, going through puberty, those kinds of things. And again, the hormones is during this time. So here you have Parker, sophomore year, and now to his junior year. I think between his freshman and junior year already, he really has, all of a sudden you see in your child that they were a boy. So the last stage, they went from a baby to a boy. Now they're a boy to looking like a man. So, that develops more. It's not fully developed usually, but it starts to develop more. They shoot up in height, both boys and girls. They're crazy ups and downs. That's normal in their physical development because of their hormones and their sexual changes. Okay. On your classroom, you have a sheet that I want you guys to fill out. And this is just about your physical development. If you don't know the answers, go ahead and ask your parents. So, for instance, at birth, most full-term babies weigh about 7 pounds. Parker weighed exactly 7 pounds. So he was right on average for a baby. I weighed almost 10. I was giant. So, how much did you weigh? Most full-term babies are 19.5 inches. Parker was right around there. I think he was 20 or 21. I was like 22. So I was, again, a huge baby. So ask your parents if you don't know what the answers are and just make sure that you submit this. So that gives you an idea. Go ahead and work through the rest of the questions on your own on Classroom and then submit that. When you are done with that, go ahead and work on your state, what you want to choose for state, and filling out those half sheets. The sub does have more half sheets for you. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And again, make sure that if you missed any notes that you just pause the video, go back and fill in any notes where you need. And make sure you use that Cornell note, that T-chart way of filling out notes in your notebook. See you guys tomorrow.